Coming at you, the JoJo Show, number 33 in the books. Wow, it's been a long, long, rocky ride here. Almost a whole year doing this on and off. Globally, nationally, locally, hottest topics north of those tropics. Shout out to all the family, listening family, family across the great, beautiful United States of America. Hope everything is all right in your world, as it is here in downtown Denham. What do you got to say, Joe?
Oh, nothing. Hello.
Hello. He says hello. That's little Joe at that.
Let's go ahead and get right to it.
Let's get right to it. Globally, Boris Johnson is having a time over there in Great Britain trying to convince those guys that Brexit, exit, is the thing to do. What do you think?
It is. They have, it's going to be a Halloween like no other. October 31st is the day that they are leaving. And if they don't, I mean, you'll be looking for like riots in the streets and stuff, dude. They want to leave. Nobody wants to be basically governed by a foreign power, and that's what's happening to England. England's had all their autonomy all this time, and the elites are trying to keep them from having that, you know, because they were in the European Union. The European Union didn't work out, and so now their some of the main people that were propping up the European Union are leaving. And you watch, England's going to leave, and other countries are going to leave too, and they'll just have to go back to the drawing board. I don't know if they would keep the euro though.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if they would keep the euro, but see, that's what it's all about. It's all about one currency.
What does a euro look like anyway?
But see, but Britain's still on the pound though.
Oh,
but they're in the European Union. That never made any sense to me. Anyway.
Yeah. I never.
You've never seen a euro?
No.
Oh. Right.
Okay. All right. I've seen U.S. dollars and Mexican pesos. I haven't seen a Bitcoin.
You're not going to see a Bitcoin.
Okay.
You can't physically hold a Bitcoin in your hand.
I've had a few wooden nickels, but let's move on. Nationally, more impeachment. The whistleblower, they can't even identify him. The Dems are looking for anybody. Well, you come over here, and then it's just print the news and then prove it later. Anything for the Democrats.
Yeah.
The Democrats, how much more impeachment are we going to put up with? How much more? Well, this is a legit thing to get caught on. Trump said, hey, open the books, get on the recordings, find out where it's at. But let's get back to the problem that started this. Why Joe and his son, Biden, get Ukraine money and Chinese money, and it goes unscathed. They're not blowing the whistle on them. They're not being up there. All the money that the Bidens have made out of China?
Because people in the Council on Foreign Relations are making a lot of money off of it, and that's why nobody that's really in the position to do anything is going to do anything, because they're all in on it. I'm telling you, it sounds like a broken record. I sound like a broken record. It's the same old stuff every month, every year, every scandal, everything. It's like, you know, you got people that are the elites that run everything that aren't going to get in trouble even when they're caught red-handed. And then you got people like me who, you know, or Joe or whatever that have to do everything by the book. And boy, if you don't do everything by the book, you get threatened with either jail or a fine or something like that, you know.
Believe me.
There's two different rules. What is the old saying? Yeah, we write the rules for you. Those rules don't apply to us.
Right.
You know?
Right.
That's what it is.
That's
exactly
Joe. I mean, it's been there for years, but how much more? And it's just another vehicle to defer everything that is happening nationally. Now, let's get to the point. Nadler, all those people, Pelosi wavering back and forth, all these other people coming out of the woodwork, Adam Schiff, just people, but I like Trump. He says, hey, pull it out. Let's go. Find out what I said, when I said it, and let's do it. A whistleblower. They can't name him. They just tried that stuff with Kavanaugh again, and then it's media, print the story, prove it later, get it out there, get everybody turning and churning on it, and then come, oh, we're sorry, we can't find the whistleblower, we don't know who said it, it was wrong when they said it, she doesn't collaborate with all this stuff, it's a bunch of bunk, I'm tired of it, vote American. But anyway, that's the end of that. Locally, because we got a lot of... is it football season? As you can attest, this is the biggest game of the year for us two guys here and our family, those who pull for either side, which is very few for our side. But anyway, locally out of this format media, whatever, locally, and I just want to touch on them, and I got another enlightened story at the end of the show if we have time. Council okays noise ordinance changes. Baton Rouge Police to use decibel meters.
Yeah, dB meters.
Yeah, the EBR Parish Metro Council revised the city's noise ordinances Wednesday following a scathing report from a civil rights organization that argued the law was enforced almost exclusively against communities of color. The statute, as it previously read, made misdemeanor to disturb the peace by playing loud music from a vehicle between 2011 and 2017. The BRPD issued thousands of traffic stops under the law, vast majority of them coming in the neighborhoods of color. Little Joe?
I've lived in the hood, and you ride around the hood any day of the week. It's like, it's a status symbol. Everybody knows that. To have the gangster ride.
Kind of old, right?
I know. It is. But to have the gangster ride with the booming sound system, it's like a status symbol. Listen, I've lived there. I've been there. I've done that. So... listen,
did you get a ticket?
Yeah, but you hear on my street, not on my street, but I live kind of near a main drag. I live off the main drag, but near a main drag. There's people riding through with base cars.
Yeah,
even around my area.
Right.
But if you had complaints, like legitimate complaints of people like parking their ride and with the boom still on and stuff like that. Yeah, I could see how normal people would call, and the calls were probably coming from the areas where it's more, I guess, policed than where they have more booming systems.
Well, yeah,
and it would just happen to be in BR the areas of color. I'm just saying, dude, because you roll to Shenandoah, or you roll to, other areas that are a little bit more spread out, or the suburbs or what like that. Yeah, you might have that, but you won't have it in those numbers.
Right.
You know what I'm trying to say? So, of course, they're going to be on that side of town enforcing, with the decibel meter and stuff like that. So I don't really think the whole, the civil rights report or whatever that organization said.
Do you think that they're trying to throw that R word in there?
Yeah, because it's a hot button. Yeah, it's a hot word of the day, and they're going to try to do anything about that. But here we are again. Let's go ahead and distract. Let's go ahead and distract what's going on. Don't worry about the shootings. Don't worry about the murders. No. Don't worry about college students getting murdered at their job.
Overdoses.
Yeah, don't worry about all that. Don't worry about, like I said, college students getting murdered at their job and having thugs step over their dead body to steal $300 out of the cash. No, we're not going to worry about that.
No.
We want to see why they're writing so many tickets in the communities of color, because people riding around with the booming systems. I'm sorry. That's really going to solve everything.
I would think that the communities of color people are the ones that are making the complaint. But let's move on.
No, you have decent people that live over there.
Well,
they're not all
there's
a bunch
decent
of
people everywhere. I'm not trying to be racist about it.
So
get rid of that stuff.
Are they being racist because they're calling? They're living in those areas because they're calling the cops on people with the booming systems that are parking outside their house and leaving their car running?
Right.
I've been there. I've done that. I've lived in the hood, dude.
All right.
That's just how it goes.
All right. Boom, boom, boom. Cars drive by like a booming system. Who is that?
LL Cool
J. Can't forget that. Anyway, police seized guns after filming rap video here locally. 8 arrested after rifles were waved in the air on the street. Wow, can you imagine that? Baton Rouge police made several arrests and seized more than a dozen guns, including some that were stolen, some that police were said were fully automatic assault rifles, which, wow, Beto, get down here. Anyway, after detaining a group of people who were filming a rap video Monday, is there no discretion, no discreet? Why don't you take that rap video to Hollywood with some fake plastic guns and do your thing to prove your point? No, you got to get real with it. It's got to be, you got to see it. It's got the fluid. You got the guns. And luckily, anybody didn't fire a gun off in the video because they probably weren't going to be using blanks. But so be it. They 8 people arrested. I'm just reading the headline. I could care less. What about it? I'm glad it just wasn't on my street because I don't have any booming system over here on my avenue, and I would surely call the cops if I seen a bunch of guys jumping around with rifles in the air. What do you think, Little Joe, or can we move on?
No, is that the state of like rap music? I've seen the local rap.
Yeah.
Dude, you gotta try harder.
Yeah.
You've got to try harder.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen the local rap videos. I've seen the local rap. I just heard the music. First of all, you got to try harder with the music. Second of all, there's no originality, dude. Everybody is more money and chicks shaking their ass in the video and
with
like
the pants
and
is all
guns and flashing guns, man.
Seeing their funky drawers.
Now, listen, how about show people in prison doing 10 and 15 years? Because that's where you're gonna be. That's cool. That's cool. I'm sorry.
Let's see that video.
I don't care how thugged out you are or how hard you are. Ain't nothing cool about doing 15 to 20 years in prison. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Now we can move on.
Well, look, the best rap video I ever seen was with Kumo D when they had the big robot machine cyborg. Okay, then if anybody can enlighten that one, remember that one?
Yeah,
Augie? Gabe.
I know what video you're talking about.
Yeah, you know what one? That's always like that. He was throwing stuff around. Anyway, locally, that's about it. But I have a lighter note. If we can stay, we'll just get all this out, and we'll get to the football, and we'll get the shout-outs at the end. But I have a lighter note. There's a truck stop coming in and leaving out of Baton Rouge around the Lobdell area, going, I-10 east-west, whatever the case may be. And it's called Tiger's Truck Stop. For years, they were having a tiger there. Then the PETA came in. The SPCA said, get the tiger out. It's all this stuff. They did studies. They went to court, ordinances, this and stuff. The tiger got to stay. It had been there. Tiger Truck Stop. Get it? It was in a cage. It had a domain. His domain was about as small or as big as what Mike the Tiger had before they put Mike the Tiger in that palatial cage over there at the stadium, by the stadium. But bottom line is, the tiger died, so they got some other animals. Didn't want to deal with a tiger anymore. They got a petting zoo, so to speak. Well, they got a big camel there behind the fence. Well, the other day, a Florida truck driver and his wife in their 70s stopped off and dropped Fluffy off to do its business. Well, anyway, the Fluffy, who is blind, got in the camel cage. The lady went to try to retrieve the dog. She went up under the fence of the cage. It's just a barbed wire strand. The man did too. Well, anyway, the lady was trying to distract the camel and the dog. The camel sat on the lady. She couldn't get out. The man was trying to swat on the camel to get the camel out. The lady bit the testicles of the camel. Finally, the camel got up. Imagine that. I won't go any further. But anyway, long story short, they ticketed the couple because of this, that, and the other.
Wait.
Yeah.
What did they ticket the couple for?
Well, trespassing, harming the animal, something like that.
I don't know about that
So anyway, the woman got out. The dog was retrieved. The people tried to skirt it and change it around. It's all the man and the woman tried to say, no, the camel attacked him, this and that. They were swatting at the camel, going on and on with the camel till the camel sat on the lady one more time. She bit his testicles. He got up naturally, and the woman was free. The dog was free. They went on their merry way, but they did get ticketed. Then days later, the camel is getting antibiotic shots because the woman bit the camel's testicles. That's kind of about a lighter note to me. It made national news, I believe. What do you think, Little Joe, or can we move on?
Yeah.
Only in South Louisiana?
Now, did you know that camels were instrumental in creating what we now know as, I believe it's penicillin? Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, check this out. So, back during World War II, you had the North African campaign, and the German soldiers, the Germans, they were dying of dysentery, and they were getting sick, and their guys were dying, basically, of dysentery. And they were like, well, wait a minute, these nomadic tribes, they've been here for thousands of years. They're still alive. How are they surviving? Well, here's the thing. Their bodies had developed a natural, I guess, antibiotic to it, but when they were young and the kids, and if you feel yourself getting sick or whatever, they always had camels with them, right? You follow me? So these Bedouin, these nomadic tribes always had camels with them. And like I said, the Germans were like, well, how come these guys aren't getting sick? So they watched them, and then they watched the men and the women and stuff that the camel would poo, and they'd pick up the camel poo and make it into a little ball and eat it. And that's how, and listen,
wait. Okay.
I know, and dead serious, but they wouldn't get sick of dysentery. It was something in the camel poo. Now, it couldn't be dried camel poo. It had to be warm camel poo, like fresh camel poo.
Does it make a difference?
No, I know. No, it makes a huge difference. It had to be
doesn't
warm.
Make a difference
it had to
now.
be warm camel poo. So look, the Germans went back and studied what all this warm. So the Germans started eating. Okay, look, if you were gonna die,
Correct.
and and they said, here, look, eat this little ball of warm camel poo, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You're gonna eat the camel poo, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've heard people that are...
No, wait, hold up. Death. Go back home to see your loved ones.
Yeah.
Or eat camel poo.
Yeah. Well, I've heard people, dying of hydration and water and being stuck and stranded in the desert, of having to, drink their own urine. I mean, that's just
I've heard of that
part
too.
of that too. I mean, that's a survival. Men eating other men, cannibalism, I think. But wow. That's a good point, Little Joe. I'll have to maybe research that one, or anybody underneath comment. Do you only on the Joe and Joe show will you hear something of that dynamic about camel?
So let's finish it up
survival
though. The Germans took it back. The Germans took it back, studied it, figured out what it was. It was some type of they call it bacillium or something like that. It was a bacteria, but it was a bacteria that would kill the dysentery bacteria. So they started synthesizing it in mass. It came out with little white pills, and no more. They didn't have to eat camel poo anymore.
Okay,
All right.
you have any comment on that, please comment. Family, friends are those
Which brings
in
me
the know that
to-
follows the show, and it's a segue into it.
Speaking of World War II,
Right.
okay, I had ran into a family member. We're talking and everything, and he's like, I said, man, will you get to see the show anymore? He's like, nah, I kind of quit watching. I was like, okay, well, we do football now. What happened, man? Why you quit watching? Just found something else to do? He said, nah, you had made a comment a while back, kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, oh, okay,
well,
which one? Which one? Yeah, which comment? He said, well, man, you had made a comment about World War II being a fake war, and my such and such was in that war, and it's kind of disrespected him. I said, look, man, I in no way, shape, or form meant to disrespect your grandpappy or your dad or your uncle or
you said that before
or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I didn't mean the World War II. That generation was the last real great generation of men.
That's true.
In America. They fought for what they believed in, and they fought for this country. And I in no way, shape, or form taking anything away from them. What I'm trying to say, and it took me a long time to figure this out because I didn't want to believe it at first. Okay, what I meant by World War II was a fake, phony war is because it did not need to happen. Rich elitist industrialists and the bankers on both sides of the Atlantic, American side and European side, caused that war to happen, funded Hitler, gave him all the means that he needed to make war so they could A, make money, and B, redraw Europe and create the state of Israel. Sorry, you could slice the pie as many ways as you want. But that's what you come up with when you really start to look at these things.
They didn't get it all at World War I, or that was just the tip of the iceberg?
No. Well, World War I was to weaken Germany because Germany was a rising power. It was challenging Great Britain, London, UK, or whatever you want to call them, as like a superpower. And they didn't want that. Yeah. Because they just didn't want it. So World War I was to destroy Germany. World War II, obviously, again, was to destroy Germany. But they found a psychopathic madman in Hitler and gave him all the means, all the money. Because Hitler, look at. Okay, he just marched right in and took over this, took over that. They gave him this, they gave him that. Where did he get the engines from for the Luftwaffe? Where did he get the chemicals from? You ever heard of a company called IG Farben? BASF. You ever heard of a company called Standard Oil? ExxonMobil. You ever heard of a company called GM, Ford? That's right. American companies, American banks, American businesses, business funded Hitler and gave him the means to create war and make war.
They do that now.
Look, they wrote books about it. They wrote a big, thick book about it. And this is just one book out of about 100.
Yep.
Okay? So, I in no way, shape, or form was calling your great-grandpappy, your uncle, your dad, or whatever,
brother,
a fake, phony
father.
guy.
Yeah.
They fought for the real stuff, what they thought was real.
But
it turns out what they thought was real wasn't real. Because in this book, and this is just one book, it's a scathing indictment of all those companies I just named. Present-day BASF, present-day Exxon, Ford Motor Company. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. You got AT&T, what they call them ITT in here, AT&T, telecommunications network. They jumped at the chance to go work with Hitler and build his network.
Money is money.
Because they wanted the money. Not only did they want the money, they knew Hitler wasn't going to make it. They knew all that infrastructure would all be in place. And when the war ended, they came in and took over everything. So that's what I mean by that. And that's what I mean, get yourself educated. Listen, I'm going to say it again. I in no way, shape, or form are taking anything away from your ancestors.
And ancestors that were involved in that war.
They were great men. They were great people.
It's just some truisms
they
about
died or they fought for something that did not need to happen. That they believed in. But it turns out what they believed in was these guys' image, remaking the world in their own image.
And that's history repeating itself. I mean, from Caesar, Nero, all those people like that. I mean, it's from the start of time, money has always been the main crux of any situation, in anything. Big formulation of companies, families, foes, anything like that. So
my grandfather, God rest his soul, another great man. He didn't fight in the war. He wasn't in the military. But he always told me, I don't drive a foreign car. Okay, why? Well, because I don't drive a Jap car because the Japs, he still said Japs,
right.
Because the Japs, were fought us in World War II.
Right.
Well, God rest his soul. I wonder if the man knew. And he drove a Ford all his life, is all I know. I wonder if he knew that Ford Motor Company made the engines for the Nazi tanks and the trucks and the war machines.
Of course.
I bet he didn't know that.
No, he didn't know that. Well, can we move on that? If we infringed on anybody, please comment on the bottom.
Please comment.
Family, friends,
newcomers. Friends, family, newcomers. And I'm sitting at a table with a bunch of so-called peers. When I said, the Americans funded Hitler, they looked at me like they were about to start fighting me, like they were about to get up and start throwing hands at me.
Yeah, I can understand.
One thing I've learned doing this show, and just B in general, people do not want to know the truth. They just don't. Even if you tell them the truth, they don't want to know it. They're covering their ears. They're like, no.
Well,
sorry,
there you go.
No.
Well, I understand that. I think we've lost a few of our listening audience because it's the truth because it's written. We cite the comments and stuff down below.
They're not taking these books off the shelves because they're slanderous and
right.
No, they're writing the books and be like, oh damn, they found it out.
Right. So again, like when we started this thing 33 shows ago, we told you we were going to come at you with everything we had just to make conversation, to enlighten you, inform you. You can take it as you want. if you're vehement, if you're patriotic, if your blood boils when things are of anything besides what we're talking about right now, even on our football picks, and we're talking and maybe talking about different teams and coaches and things like that, that realize we're just coming to you in an opinionated form, having some fun. Hope we're having some fun, getting you to think about what's going on out there outside. We've always said, quote, outside the box, which to me, I've never been in a box. I've been in a hole, but I've never been in a box. But I mean, bottom line is it's all for you and it's for us to do. So we'll move on.
Okay, now let's move on real quick.
To what? You got another one?
No, New York Fed. This is September 25th.
Okay.
It was yesterday?
Yesterday.
New York Fed boosts money market cash injections as banks' demand rises.
Put that in layman's terms.
Yeah. So what does all this mean? The New York Federal Reserve, has been injecting $75 billion into banks for liquidity for almost a week now. $75 billion a day, and now it looks like there might be upping it to anywhere between $90 billion to $100 billion into banks.
Recession?
First things foremost, here we go again with the Fed having a stranglehold on all our economy, okay? The United States didn't have a Federal Reserve until 1913, and economically, it was doing just fine. These elite bankers took over and basically said, okay, well, all the money is now ours, and now we're going to give you back your own money, but charge interest rates. If you look at the market swings and ups and downs and crashes and booms and stuff like that, it wouldn't be nowhere near what it is. It would be like just a straight line versus zoo, if we didn't have a Federal Reserve. I've told you before on the show, go educate yourself. Why do we need a Federal Reserve? What is the Federal Reserve? Who controls the Federal Reserve? What does the Federal Reserve actually do? Okay? So here they are, printing money out of thin air, $75 billion. Hey, $75 billion. And you get $75 billion. And you get $75 billion. Everybody gets $75 billion.
Where's the money coming from?
Where's the money coming from? It's coming from you, the taxpayer. But here they are, giving it to banks, all these banks to prop them up. So now you have reserve currency. Now you can lend, and now, oh my God, everybody's got money. Well, what does that do? All that does is, if I'm not mistaken, Joe, help me out. I'm just old school. Does that cause inflation?
Yeah.
Because shouldn't that cause inflation?
Yeah.
Your dollar is worth less now because there's more dollars out there? Am I understanding this correctly?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. This has been going on for like a week now. $75 billion. Now they're going to up it up to $90 billion, $100 billion. Cash infusion into all these banks.
Wow.
For what? What is going on?
They're sure not going to give me a loan.
No, yeah. Why are they doing this? So this is what's going on. Pay attention in the world. Ask questions. Educate yourself. There's books that you can read. There's documentaries you could watch, but
links
you better
down below. Maybe
you better hurry up and watch them before they take them off. I'm just saying, it's like, the world really and truthfully, it's going fast, and you need to prepare yourself for what's coming.
Well, I heard over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, start stockpiling your grocery bins, start putting stuff in your pantry, canned goods, water, this, that, and the other. I mean, it was almost like, and I heard this and I read it, and I don't think that you're naive that you didn't see it and hear it either. I mean, everything is almost doomsday now when it comes to you, but I read that because of the recession fears or, money was going to, and it prophesies in the Bible, and I don't quote the Bible, "Thou shalt not," but I never do that. But anyway, long story short, that you're going to have a bucket full or a wheelbarrow full of money, and when you go trade it in to live or whatever, the wheelbarrow is going to be more than the money. So, I mean, being naive and little Joe enlightened me on that stuff like that, billions of dollars being fluctuating in for what? They're not giving any more loans. The rate's not going down. Are people going to run on the banks? Which every time this talk goes around, year in, year out, people. I always tell little Joe, whatever you got, put it in the shoebox. I mean, that's what I was born in. My dad had his life savings practically.
I got something in the shoebox.
in his insurance. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, and he had insurance. And I don't have much insurance, but I mean,
I definitely got a little something in a shoebox.
Well, that's good. That's good. A big shoebox, maybe a pair of workforce boots or something. A big box. But anyway.
Anyway, so everybody's now for
fired up
about 1 day or maybe about a 12-hour period. The little Swedish girl from from Sweden stole the show, stole the spotlight at the UN summit or whatever. Okay,
Greta Thunberg.
First of all, okay.
Propping up children.
You see, the Nazi propaganda from way back has always used children. Chinese communist propaganda. Let's see, Stalin did it. All the really bad people always use children because, look, it's children. You wouldn't be against children now, would you? Come on. You can't be against the kids. They know what's best.
For propaganda is as old as it can be.
So then they played the autism card. Then they said, she's autistic. We can't go against autistic people now, can we? No. And I'm with you on that. No, you don't. But here's the thing. If this little girl's really autistic, she's giving the whole autistic situation a bad name, okay? First things first, autistic kids don't believe in things they can't see or verify for themselves. We're talking about climate change, okay?
Yeah.
You're going to have a really hard time getting an autistic kid to believe in a theoretical subject, religion, politics, climate change, okay? Second of all, a lot of autistic kids are, at least the high-functioning ones, like if she's autistic, are naturally born actors, okay? They mimic and memorize things in their entirety. They probably won't be able to have a two-way conversation, but they can go on for a long time with them controlling the topic. It's like one-sided conversation. Now, of course, every autistic child is different, okay? In this case, if this little girl is really autistic, if she's really on the autistic spectrum, her parents are to blame, okay? Her parents are to blame for her actions. She's been coached to the point of it's child abuse, okay?
Right.
And she's been put in this position by her parents that are unfit to have a child. And I'm not mad at her. I'm not, in no way, shape, or form. I'm not mad at her. She is a true victim of brainwashing. Well, this cannot be overstated, okay? The whole apparatus that made this happen needs to be called out for these type of crimes against children.
There you go. And who's putting up all this money?
Who's putting up the money?
Let me say, you blame the parents. It's all for money. He took a year off for school, all for money. And she's up there, worse than Khrushchev at the UN, pounding the table with his shoe, or whatever he did, which was, quote, famous, unfamous. But, I mean, bottom line is she's up there espousing all this and telling everybody this rhetoric and stuff like that. Who is behind all this and why? Climate change, to me, is climate change. They've shown the patterns of climate change from 1,000 years ago to 50, 60 years ago to 1 billion years ago that they figured and stuff like that. Climate change is inevitable, just like the seas rising, this, that, all this stuff. It just reminds me of the sickening Al Gore bull that happened years ago, perpetrated. Where's Al Gore when it's 22 below in Nashville, Tennessee? Is he sitting by the fire with Charlie Daniels? Charlie Daniels probably wouldn't have Al Gore in his house, being both from Tennessee. But bottom line is, I want to see something, and we got to get on to football, or we're going to edit this show.
We gotta go.
But I want to get on to something. I want to see one of those teens, now they're adults now, but they just had a batch of teens come through the Epstein bull and all that sex trafficking with all these teens. I want to see that little girl get up at the UN, not coached, or even if she was coached, I would fund that, because of that is a bunch of BS.
Right.
If we're going to get kids up there, get the sex trafficking kids, get the parents that are dying. My mama died of an opioid addiction. My brother died. I want to see that up there,
kids.
And then I'll relinquish the thing to say, well, the children are going to talk. Out of the words, babes of children, come the best words. words, and children will eventually be the leaders of the world.
And you're not going to see that. You know why? Because all the people that are there are all responsible for that. So are you ready to click? Are you ready to click over?
Man, we are ready to click.
Click over. All right. 1,
The Unicorn
2,
Minute.
3,